successful wives. Welcome to TSW Network, where we elevate wives globally to thrive in marriage, business, and in life. I'm your host, DC Constant. And in recognition of Men's Mental Health Month, TSW presents the series Brother Breathe, a powerful conversation series honoring the voices of Black men today. Today, we have Johnny Dent Jr. He's an author, speaker, minister, and the interim president of the International Men of Excellence organization in Ohio. What's up, Johnny Dent Jr.? I call him JD, y'all. What's going on, JD?
DC, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for this amazing platform. And, I've been with you for several many years, at least since the early 2000s. You and your husband, just a phenomenal job of just reconciling people and rehabilitating them back towards their own faith. So
Oh,
thank you.
no, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to have you. Guys, JD, he's phenomenal in his own right. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's a minister. And one of the things that he does as well in his ministry is to help rebuild and reconcile people back to God. So I'm honored to have you here. So
Finally, right?
I know, right?
Yeah,
We've been trying to
finally, right?
get
Yeah.
together for a minute now, JD. So this is a very, very powerful topic that we're going to be discussing today. Men's mental health, but definitely Black men. It's not anti any other men, but I'm an advocate for our men, for our Black men. And so I wanted to speak to honorable Black men who could speak to this issue and how it's affecting our community and the country. So I know you also work as a chaplain as well. So you see a lot. You see a lot of different mental issues going on in our community. So I would like to ask you, I want you to start off by telling us number one, what does mental health means to you? And what are you seeing in our community regarding Black men today?
That's a very good way to start. So, mental health to me is having peace in the midst of crisis. There will always be some form of a crisis around you, always. Um, whether it's your personal crisis or the crisis belongs to someone else or even a corporate crisis, there will always be something going on that's disagreeable to your constitution mentally and also spiritually and even physically. And so mental health is about being able to see clear through the storm. What do I mean by that? You have, you can drive at day or you can drive at night. Those of us who drive at night, we have two lights. Those two lights, we count on those two lights to show us about 200 feet in front of us how far we can go. But if you drive with consistency, accuracy, and responsibly, you can go all over the world with just those two lights. Now in the
Mhm.
daytime, because you see everything, you're gonna miss a lot. Just miss a lot. So mental health for me is being able to have stability in the midst of crisis. It is Jesus saying, "Peace be still" in the storm.
Mhm. So, and where you work. So, can you, you don't need to tell us where you work, but I do know that you work with patients on a daily basis that's in that storm. So, how do you connect with them to say, peace be still in the midst of their chaos? Because everyone's chaos look different. People been through a lot of different things,
Mhm.
depression, abuse, and different things of that nature. So they're in this storm, and you said it's going to be with us always. So someone may be watching this saying, well, wait a minute, JD, if it's going to be with me always, how do I go through that? How do I go through that even if I'm screaming peace be still, but I can't find no peace?
The great thing about that, Darlene, is that we all have the measure of faith inside of us. So what I'm trying to do, my attempt is to connect to the faith that you have, whatever that faith is, And from there, we can build a way to pull you out of that. Some of the most some of the most difficult moments for me as a chaplain is people who are wrestling with trauma because everything shows up, or as one author once says, the body keeps score.
Mm,
So towards the end of life, that person has now gone from a 7 bedroom house to one room, no microwave, no refrigerator, one bed, one setting. Some of them can get out the bed, some of them can't. But let's just talk about the one who cannot emulate, who is now dependent on so many people to touch them, feed them, groom them, counsel them, speak with them. It's a trust issue. And so some of them are very combative and they fight people all the way into the end of their personal time.
mm,
Because again, if you've been raped or you have been physically, sexually assaulted, or mentally abused in some way, words count and touch count. Well, when do we become adults, Darlene? Maybe we get control, some locus of control between 30 and 50. And then as those years continue to elevate and we start going to our 60s, what will your 60s look like? Your 70s look like? If you have not dealt with that emotional trauma and turmoil, now you're in that situation, that crisis, and a stranger has to help you to at least be presentable and have some form of dignity. So I look at this fight and I'm just like, wow. And they scratch, they bite, they kick. Some of
mm.
them still have their language and vocabulary. Most of them don't, where they lose that. And so they're trying to communicate through behaviors. And so being humans on the other side of this as caregivers, we are we say, well, I don't like Mrs. Jones. She likes to hit me. Well, why is Mrs. Jones hit why is she hitting? Enter in a social worker for accountability, for accountability, and here comes the chaplain because now I have to pull from you from the faith that you said. You said you was Presbyterian, Episcopalian, Protestant, Church of God in Christ, Apostolic, Pentecost. You said this. And I have
Mhm.
to reach inside of you according to your faith and try to pull out this trauma at almost your near death experience so that people can continue to help you. So one of the things I use, Darlene, real frequently, I always say, you've earned the right to receive help. Ooh, that is so hard to hear for people. You have
Mm,
earned the right to
my God.
receive help. You've earned the right. Whoever you are at this moment in time, I commend you. That person has shown that they're formidable. They are survive. They can survive through any situation. But now, from this point on, can we help you to live and give you a quality of life a little bit longer while you're here? You don't
Mhm.
have to go through the storm again. It's okay to have green grass growing underneath your feet. It's all right for you to see the sunshine. And yes, you're going to tell me where you want to go, but I'm going to make sure that you do it with as much dignity as possible.
Okay. Um, that is great to hear and how you navigate through those. So I want to go back to something you said earlier where um I think what I picked up on was when you said when do we want to grow up? When do we grow up?
Yes.
So when I think about that, so now I want to ask you now, you just described how the patients that you work with being a chaplain. So I want to talk about the men that are walking around
Okay.
functioning trauma, I call it. And they have that arrested development. So I'm 50, I'm 55, I'm in my 60s, but because of that arrested development in my teens or in my 20s, that unhealed trauma or unhealed, resolved issues, I'm reliving it over and over again, but I'm going to work every day, I'm married or I may have a girlfriend, you know, what what would you say to that man that is walking around like that?
Well, let's start off with your topic, brother. Brief. When you hear, first of all, men. and women have different, we have the same emotions, but different ways to express those emotions at different times, which is why you can't have a man yelling at the top of his lungs to a woman at the top of her lungs, because that's a never ending conflict. There's going to be more potential for more conflict. But I look at your I statements. When you hear people say, I'm grown, I run all this, I'm in control, those are clear identifiers that the person feels that they don't have a voice and they are not present. And
Mm-hmm.
so we lean towards our most dominant features. As male, we lean towards our physicalities. As women, women lean more towards their voice and being able to project, right? Um, so what happens is I would say, bro, you need some help. And there's, what you mean I need some help? I do this, I do this, I do that. Men will always say, I'm okay because of what I do. But
Mm-hmm.
darling, I got something for that.
Mm-hmm.
Criminals do good.
Mm.
Addicts do good. Um, as evidenced by a certain celebrity right now who's going through a trial. He did do some good. And so your goodness is something that's it's not enough to let people know what is actually going on with you.
Mm-hmm.
We've had organizations at the national level. I thank God that they cleared them. They're starting to clear them up and take accountability, like Boy Scouts of America. We
Yeah.
got issues in certain churches where people have been abused, and there has been no accountability because these people have not had a voice. So these people come out, they become domineering. This is their way of dealing with the trauma. It takes probably at least the same amount of pain to get trauma as it does to heal, which is
Mm.
why most
Wait.
people run from it, right?
Okay.
Well, since I'm
Give
already
us an
dealing with,
example. Give us an example.
okay, so uh, I had a person take my head as a child and ram it into the end of a steel paper table. It was an adult, and that at that time my mom trusted. And he ran my he because I asked him a question, he ran my head into steel table, blood everywhere, darling.
Mm.
Um, for first of all, he's deceased, but second of all, at my age, do I run him down and try to return the serve that he gave to me earlier as a child?
That would be
How
natural. You have to
that's
acknowledge that would be natural to grow up as an adult and want to get revenge. Those are
it
natural
would.
feelings.
And so, what if you can't get revenge? Who has to suffer along your path or journey to get back to that person who did that in the first place?
My God.
When I'm triggered because somebody says something loud to me, when I
Mm.
see hands coming towards me, the hand may be, it's all about my interpretation of that hand. It could be to just place a hand on my shoulder, or it could be to do what he did. There are so many victims that recreate on our path to revenge that um, we end up actually hurting our community that way, which is why I truly believe we have to follow God's path when it comes to revenge. We have to let him, it's always best in his hands. Now, you might see a person as an amputee. You might hear that the person, might actually be redeemable. We don't get to make that judgment call of who God gets back and who he redeems. I learned that through a very powerful movie called The Shaft. Um, if you ever saw it. But my point is, so I don't have to hit my head against that table again, but I
Mm.
do need to place it in better hands or with better angels who have actually taken the time to go to school, get the education, and do the research, and it's their specified field. If I place that trauma in better hands, they're going to help me get through that moment. But that's just one moment. I've got many of them, but
Right?
that's just one. But at least, do I need to be in a position so that someone can just touch my shoulder and say, "Are you okay?" I'm going to say yes to that for me myself. I'm going to say
Mhm.
that. Before therapy, some trial and some some errors, some people that I may have offended or hurt along the way, you couldn't do this. But now I'm not jumping around. I'm not jumping around. But it was painful to develop that trust. I have to feel like I have some form of value. The survivor is going to say, "Well, I deserve to be here just like you do." The person who is living is going to say, "I deserve that green grass beneath my feet, that sunshine, and I want to see all of it before I get into that one room that we talked about." But
Mm,
you are not responsible for any trauma that you've experienced, especially as a child. But we are all 100% responsible for our own healing. That's why the master teacher in the book, my favorite book, says, "Will thou be made whole?
mhm,
According to your faith,
mhm.
shall I do this unto you." You need to sign a permission slip for doctors to operate on you. You have to put your problems in the positions of healers or better angels.
Absolutely. And that comes with the mind shift. Because if we constantly, no pun intended, if we do a
Oh,
constant
I heard the shameless plug.
if we do a constant reliving over and over what they did, and hear me clear, I'm not invalidating anybody's pain or trauma, but reliving it over and over again, and it's not fresh, it's been 5 years, 20 years, and you reliving it over and over again like it happened yesterday. Nobody Nobody can help you, because even like you said, even God says, "Will thou be made whole?" Like even God will ask you, and you tell God no. It's like okay, because He give us free will. So it's a mind shift to say, you know what, I'm tired. I'm done. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of being mad. I need to let me go and speak and go and talk to somebody because I'm tired of being mad. Because honestly, they still have power over you. The act is over, but reliving it over and over again, that person still have power over you. I know people that they've been through some things, and the person is dead and gone, and that person from the grave still has that control and power over you. But the people make I statement, "I'm grown, that don't bother me no more." It's like, bruh, sis, you 50 some years old, and that happened in your 20s. It wasn't your fault, but you feel like you have control because you're still angry about it and you still mad, but you only hurting yourself. Because
Yes,
folks then moved on, then died, or if they're still living, they're not even thinking about you anymore. They're not even thinking about it because they moved on. And you're
I call living with trauma celebrating the demons.
mm,
You are dancing with them. If it looks like you are constantly losing jobs, if it looks like you're constantly emotional, if it looks like you're developing a pattern of criminal activity, and what I mean by this is you're constantly getting thrown in anger management programs, domestic violence programs. Okay, that's trauma. You might not see it, but your behavior is dictating you. You are celebrating the demons. You
woo,
are celebrating them. So it's time to come home, retract yourself from the party, and work on you.
that's it right there. Because you can't change anyone else. We can't
Mm-mm.
undo what happened. You can only work on you. And to me, it's taking your power back.
Yes,
Isn't that taking your power back?
is
It's
oh, absolutely,
it's taking
absolutely.
your mental health power back. You might not look at it like mental health, but it's all relative. It
Mm-mm.
is. Your behavior is your mental. Is your mental because everything starts up here in the mind.
Yes.
Thoughts. So let me ask, so let's transition into the buzzword masculinity. Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna lose probably if the women that's looking at this, I know I'm gonna lose them, and I'm cool with that. I'm really tired of women defining what masculinity is. You're not a man. I would never try to tell a man to man up, be a man. I'm not a man. And I just get, I'm like, where did all of a sudden, where did all this come from? Spiritually, to me, from the enemy, to keep the divide of the sexes, that war divide. But I want to talk to you about masculinity, the stigma around men, especially black men in our communities, getting help, masculinity, masculinity, getting help, therapy. Because in our culture, we came up at a time, that was for the other people. We
Right.
strong. We don't need that. Clearly, that's a lie. Later. What is the expectations around that? What does that look like for black men? What's the real on that?
Okay, so here's what's interesting. That's a loaded question, and you better be glad I trust you because I ain't supposed to answer all of this. It's very very meaty. But so look at it this way. We stayed away from therapy as a race because they always showed us mental health at an extreme. The movies like Sybil with split personality, the Joker, who we talked about offline, who the Cape Crusader himself calls a maniac because his actions have no shape or reason, right? There's the movie Psycho, where you always see this one guy with the knife in his hand. There's the
Mm-hmm.
hand that rocks the cradle, in which a grieving wife loses her husband and a baby, and then she wants revenge due to a psychotic break.
Mm-hmm.
There's the big one, Fatal Attraction, right?
Oh yeah. Yes.
And outside of that, even in the media, the Unabomber, he was paranoid schizophrenic. Sorry. So they show us these extremes, and the first thing you say is, I don't,
That's not me.
I'm not like them.
I
I'm
ain't
not
like
like
that.
them. Yeah, no. Um, then they show when you have problems in just basic situations, you laying
Mm-hmm.
on that couch with that therapist, the therapist making money, the therapist say, time, you gotta go. Okay. And you sitting there like, wow, all they gonna do is take my money. Or the other one, they're gonna drug me and I feel like a zombie. And I always say, okay, what does a zombie feel like? Because they're dead. Tell me. Um, the bottom line is this: the new thinking in clinical psychology and psychiatry is that we all have something. We all have some form of mental health, and it's from one extreme to another, right? Which I think is more better or is healthier to present it that way. I can give you an example. A young man by the name of Noah Sutteridge, who's a priest now. I remember I was telling him I had a problem sleeping. He said, "Well, do you take any?" I don't want to take anything. I'm not taking nothing to go to sleep. And the way he got me to take this one little thing that actually worked for me at the time, it's called melatonin. He said, Johnny, do you drink coffee? No. Do you drink energy drinks? Yeah, occasionally. Do you eat this food or that food? And he said we are all being either pumped up or released down some other way normally. Normally, right? He said taking the pill won't kill you. He said you're just adding to the process you're already locked into anyway. And I was like, wow. So what do? You get down. People take a Snickers bar, bite the Snickers bar. Whoo, rush of sugar. So we're going up, down, up, down, up, down. Finally, I said, let me get something that's over the counter. Took it, and I said, this thing don't. And I was gone. Woke up the next day. I was like, man, that thing worked because the body has this tendency when you don't do things for the body will overcompensate and do some other things on the other side of your body. And the last
Mm-hmm.
thing you want to do, especially with my people who don't get sleep, is be driving and your body say, you know what? I know we're in the middle of 480 in Cleveland, and traffic is high, but I want to go to sleep right here. And you're like, no, you can't. You're trying to stay. No, no. The body's like, nope, I'm shutting down. And before you know it, you're in a whole world of trouble. But back on topic, Darlene. Um, Masculinity, and I've always shared this with men. We have been lied to in Western society. They give us John Wayne, but they
Mm,
disrespect a Dan on the Connors, right?
yeah.
The Duke got a gun. He gun toting. They show him they show the Cartwrights and the Ponderosa and Bonanza and protecting your
Mhm.
territory. All that stuff is good, and in a sense, it's needed because you're supposed to protect. You're supposed to guide, guide, govern, and guard what you have as a man. You're supposed to. But on the other side, when our masculinity is dominating, when I'm forcing you and I'm telling you this is what a woman is supposed to do, and this is what a man is supposed to do. I'm better qualified in manhood than I am in femininity. Should not
Mhm.
in any kind of way be telling a woman how to be feminine. But the way I explain it to my companion is that if I was a female, I would be the most feminine woman on the planet. I would enjoy that moment because that's the way I believe that God presented me. But because I'm masculine, you're going to see 100% masculine traits all the way across the board. So it is a myth. If I would say to a man, define your own manhood, because some days you may bring in $100. The next couple weeks you may bring in 3,000. I don't think it's a difference between the 100 or the 3,000. I just think as long as you're making a contribution that's acceptable and agreeable to the person that you partner with in your life existence, that's the way it's supposed to be. But we have been lied to about masculinity, especially in this climate now.
Oh,
Um,
yes. What's the biggest
Naturally,
lie? What's the biggest lie?
don't cry. Men don't cry.
Mm.
Men don't cry. You ain't supposed to cry. Um, did it hurt? Remember, men and women share the same emotions.
Mhm.
Did it hurt? She crying. How come you can't cry? Listen, it hurt, and we get hurt internally first because of the mask that we have to wear. Let me elaborate a little more, Darlene. Um, so in medieval times, men wore the armor, right? You can
Mhm.
shine that armor, you can make it look good, you can pull the dents out of it, and all that stuff. Well, underneath it, this guy was toothless. Okay, he, he probably had a pot belly. You know, he wasn't packing in the lower region, right? But that
Mhm.
armor on a horse, looking good, shining, right? That's what society expects from us as men. They also expect men to play through injury.
Mhm.
No matter what kind of pain you're going through, they still want the men to show up. I have a lot of female friends who have argued with me in the beginning about their male counterpart in video games. I said, well, what is he doing with the video game? Well, he's just playing the game. It's like he's doing nothing. I said, what have you looked at who he is after playing that video game? Well, he's a lot calmer. Okay, that's his other girlfriend. Let that be his girlfriend. Don't interrupt him in his playing space. He's trying to decompress from the war he just came out of, and he's
Yeah.
getting his head back together to settle. He wants to bring home a championship in some form, and once he masters that game, he's gonna get up that game. He's gonna say, "Okay, baby, what's up?" You want that situation. Let him have as many games as he wants because he is in a space, but he's trying to debrief from what the world just did to him. And
That's yeah. Yeah.
but the cultural expectation, especially like with LeBron, right? LeBron can't be hurt. LeBron like I got a growing injury. They're like, no, that ain't nothing. You supposed to play through that. No, that hurts. That hurts. Anybody who's been in the position to uh, play any form of athletics, they'll tell you that any pain is pain. But society expects men to just keep on going on, and it has a lot to do with that Western stigma of toughness.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So everything, yeah, I agree with what you just said. And to bring that, going back to the video games, because when I'm speaking with with the women about that because I hear the same thing. And I'm like, okay, is he taking care of everything else? Like, do you really feel like you have to find something to complain about? Because I'm on the opposite of that. So way
Okay.
before,
That's
so
why you're a successful wife, Darlene. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
on the opposite of that because so I have, for those that may not know, I've been married, it'll be 30 years in September. We've been together 34. So we've been together since we were 22 years old. We've been together since John Madden first came out. The first Madden game, okay? With
Oh
the
man.
little yellow for those way back. I'm telling my age. I know black don't crack,
Yeah.
but they were the yellow stick figures running up and down the court. So when I first met him, he had like that the very first Madden that came out, and I would practice. So he would show me how to play it. And when he wasn't at home, I would practice on it. And then I'd be like, he would come home from work. I'd be like, babe, want to play a game? And I would beat him. He was like, oh, somebody been practicing. So for me, each Madden that came out, he would show me how to play. Then I got better, and we would play together. We haven't done that in years now, but in the beginning, we were dating and stuff, we would play. And then I love football too. I love football. I just love sports. So for me, I just see it differently. Now, although we haven't done that in a while, that's his thing. That, and I always call it his girlfriend too. I mean, it's like that's his thing. That's what he decompress. I'm an author, I'm a writer, podcaster. This is my thing. So it's
Yes.
like it's cool to have. I'll be like, sis, well, while he's playing this game, what do you do? Like, do you have something? Because marriage is about it's independence and interdependence. You can have your stuff too. You can have your stuff too. And I'm not
Yes.
talking about the dude that's playing the game, don't have a job, don't have whatever. But if your husband is playing a game, it's okay. You need to get them other sisters up out of your ear. Because who's telling you something is wrong with a grown man playing a game? He ain't playing with another woman. Let him have whatever he's having. Because
Yes.
you're right. He's decompressing. That is his thing. He's not out in the streets. You know what I mean? So just stop trying to find something to complain about. Because that's
Yeah.
what I hear when I
Yeah.
hear women say that. I hear I have to complain, find something to complain about. And it's like, ugh. Okay. But back on topic with men's mental.
Darlene.
But to me, that plays a part of the black man's or any man's mental health, though. Because let's segue into that. Let's go into you. Okay, you're married. We got the kids. We have all of this. You have all these responsibilities. But having the right partner as a man, that to me plays a huge part in your mental health as well.
Yeah.
You want
Yes.
to expound on that?
Oh, absolutely. So, two mindsets, right? And I'm gonna give you both of them. Mindset
Okay.
number one is Barbie, right? People, I'm a purchase Barbie. Oh, I gotta give me a Barbie doll. Okay, Barbie comes with Ken. What is Ken doing? Well, let's see. Ken ain't got no job. Ken is wearing pink and white with the college sweater like Barbie. Ken plays tennis with Barbie, and Ken is on the passenger side of Barbie's car, right? Barbie's dream house, Barbie's car, and the guy said, "If you can play that role and be okay in your constitution and conviction as a man, well, man, have at it. Cause pimping ain't easy. Somebody got to do it. I'm just not gonna sign up for it." Mindset number two, biblically, right? Xerxes has lost the battle. He's lost the battle. He says to his wife Vashti, please go out into the kingdom, ride around. It is a moral checkup because she's so beautiful that at least they can see that the king is still winning somewhere. Just ride around, do a people check around just to see how people is doing. Presidents do it all the time, which is why we saw Barbara Bush all the time and Nancy Reagan all the time and Michelle Obama all the time, just going and popping up on morning shows and stuff, even when the weight of the country has fallen on the servant, and is the servant needs just a pep, some kind of pep. Guess what they call them in the early games? Cheerleaders. Dallas Cowboys, first team with cheerleaders, right? People was like, man, you know what? I think Dallas is the American team now because those cheerleaders was dancing no matter what the score is. He just asked her to go out into the kingdom and just come around a little bit. Interesting enough, when you trace to the etymology of Vashti itself, Vashti actually is kind of like trophy. She said no. Oh no, you lost. You lost. No, no, you ain't about to make it like, we okay because you lost that victory. So what happens? Whole morale goes down. His advisors come in. They say, look, this thing she did is not good. The queen has said no to you. They say, okay, all men, great and small, will never go through this again. And now I'm looking for a new wife. Men need, you got to have a small bottle of appreciation. And it got to be a lot. Hey, man, you did good today. And I'm so glad I had you. Um, at the bedroom and at the door when he exit. If you see the old television shows, those women got out of the bed and were at the door when he was leaving, and they were at the door when he was coming. Remember Fred Flintstone, Dino, here come Pebbles, right? Here come Wilma. Hey, Fred, welcome home. Mwah. But we are entering into this culture where men are so undervalued and so disappreciated, and women too, because this society tells us that we can replace the person that we're currently with. It's either gonna get better or it's gonna get worse. Worse first. Worse
Yeah.
first. Those 20% of those things that he or she is not doing, you have to find a way to compensate for that, and there's healthy ways to do that. But our trauma tells us we got to go back to our past. You got to go back
Mm,
to who we were with before. Oh, this person did this and this person did that. Okay, so take your 20%, I take my 80, and somebody else gonna be like, oh my God, I found the love of my life in that man or that woman. But those two mindsets that I can't celebrate you no matter what situation we are in. And the
mm,
other one is that I'm going to live my life through the eyes of an oppressor. The
mm,
oppressor paid all the bills. Well, he better. It's power and control. That's why he does it. The oppressor won't meet you halfway. Look at the lady in Tyler Perry's movie, uh, The Diary of the Mad Black Woman. Okay,
mhm.
okay, the oppressor had it going on. Their house was laid. It was mint. The cars was nice. But look at what she was going through. She ended up with the guy with the gardener with the braids. Okay,
Mhm.
because she was willing to set aside every bit of thing that he used to control her just for peace. And Darlene, peace is expensive. It's expensive. We
How
pay
so?
uh you pay a price for it. You pay a price for it. You will
You have
not
to
be
I'm
you
confused.
will
Did you
you
have to
will not
pay a
you
price
will
for these?
you will not be in the in crowd. You won't make all the parties. You won't get all the awards. You you have to say one of the most powerful things you have to say in healing is no. No. I can't make it there because I'm doing this. Um, to travel is pricey. To have a good meal or to set, especially your events. Don't tell me you doing that on balling on the budget. You probably are knowing you, but your events are always exquisite. They're always well done. It's a price to that, whether it's time, money, or sacrifice.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on 5 seconds ago with the piece.
Okay.
Why does peace have to be expensive because you say no? Like, why do you care? Not you personally, but why do people care what somebody think about them? And I guess maybe because I don't care. Like, why? Who cares? Why do you care? Because I guess I don't know. Peace shouldn't have to be
Well,
expensive because you say no to going
it
places or the in crowd or to other people. Isn't that low
you
esteem?
you is not necessarily you. I said it was expensive. It is expensive, but it's affordable for you. Let me say it that way because you're going to present your atmosphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have relatives. My relatives, they have not evolved with me, and that's okay. I'm okay with where they at in the. in the chronological chain of humanity. Some of my people are still at being Cro-Magnon man. That's cool. So I know there are certain places they can and cannot go with me. And
Okay.
there's certain places, even though I'm from there, I can go, but I can't stay too long. All right.
Okay.
Remember when Jane pulled Tarzan out of the jungle? Tarzan was she tried to give him some forks and knives and put him in a tux. Tarzan hated that tux.
I'm Tarzan.
He clammed all through the window up the rain pipe to get in it. He's sitting there. He ain't got the shoes on. He don't even wear the tuck shoes. I mean, he hated that. Where did she have to meet him? She had to move back into the jungle and let him just be Lord of the jungle. Now
Yeah.
people say, "Oh no, I wouldn't have gave up my house and all that." But who was Jane? Jane was the daughter of the explorer, so she had already she's very familiar with the jungle. So she didn't have to make that sacrifice, but sometimes we have to. Um, Darlene, Cleveland is Cleveland. I remember when you and your husband was like, "Hey, we going to Arizona." I was like, "What's in Arizona?" But I asked everybody that. What's in New York? What's in Atlanta? What's in Chicago? And then when I started traveling, I was like, oh, right?
Hmm.
Because we're taught that where we are, that's where we should be. Well, nobody told us that, especially with a moving gospel. Our gospel is always moving. Jesus was always on the move. The original Israelites were always transitioning and moving and moving and moving. But we feel like we have to stay in a place and make our stands and live there. Um, that's going to challenge your personal peace if you feel
Mm.
that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I'm like,
You like forget them.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. You
You
can love people, but you don't have to. No, that was just never, that was never my vice. Like those that know me,
yeah.
they know that was never my vice. Like, well, I can't do this because mama might say this, daddy might say that, or the people might say that, or the church may say that. Like, that has never been me. It's always been, okay, I prayed about it, I asked God, okay, can I move? So
Yeah.
to me, for people to just put so much on what they, whomever they are, say or do or feel, that's idolization. You're idolizing those people. You're idolizing, their thoughts, their feelings, and what they gonna say and do. And it's like, but
Yeah.
what did God tell you to do? When
Yeah.
God said, that's it. I mean, that's it. It doesn't matter if you agree or not agree.
So
What God say, that's just how I live my life.
so let me let me say it this way. So when God said 8 people on the ark, you the person at the door. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. All right. I'll holler at y'all. I'm gone.
He said 8.
He did say 8.
He said 8.
He did say 8.
He didn't say 8 plus 1. He said
Nah.
8.
So Boo and them can't they ain't no pan later on. Ain't no, I'm gonna let you in the window on the side and
I mean,
um
he said
he
8.
did say 8.
He said 8. That's what he said. That's what he said. And I'm not saying I've always been obedient to God, but in my disobedience, it wasn't because of somebody else. It was
We
because of Darlene,
and
not because of somebody else or how
and let
somebody
me
thought or how somebody else felt.
that's an excellent point, Darlene. And I'm gonna say it this way. That's been the problem all along. We assume that they knew more than we did about us.
Come
It's
on.
it's it's okay for them to know about what they know, but we assumed that they knew more about us. And so initially we leaned in, and then we found out, man, I don't belong here. I always say that when you get accepted into a circle, there's a circle you left and there's another circle. And you get into that circle, there's another circle you left, 2 circles you left now, and now another circle. You will always be looking out, and you will always be looking, people will always be looking in. We have to have that mental health that we have to talk about to
Mhm.
where it doesn't matter. And I remember sharing with one of my children, um, I'm gonna give you a bitter pill to swallow. Some people just don't like you. Ooh, when you swallow that one. Now listen, ain't no great flavoring in that one. When when you
Ain't no red
when
flavor?
no. Uh, it when you swallow that one, especially when we finally do everything they need us to do or become who they want us to become, smoke what they want us to smoke, drink what they want us to drink, and then you like, hey, like me now. They like, I'm sorry, I I just don't like you, and there's no reason.
But it should be okay. People should be okay that everybody isn't gonna like you. You should be okay with
It's
that.
it's a bitter pill. You got to get it down. Got to get it down. All them pills ain't they don't taste good. You got to get that.
That's true.
Woo,
But that you should be okay. You should make sure that God like you. Do God like what you did today?
yeah,
And do you like you?
that part
Do
right there.
you like you? You have to be okay with that. You
Yeah,
have to be
that
okay.
part.
You have to
Yes,
be okay. That's
yes,
that's so yeah, you have to be okay. You just have to be okay with that.
yes, yes.
So
Definitely.
um
Okay.
yeah. So when I was asking about about family, so when I think about black men and mental health, and it was another question I wanted to ask you. Oh, depression. I wanted to talk about that. I think depression is so undervalued in black men. I think more black men go through it than we care to talk about or realize, because even on social media, when I thank God for the great podcast for black men that are able to express themselves in a safe place. Um, I think it should be talked about more, and I think women should understand that more without well, what about women? What about women? What about women? It's like, can we stop the fighting? If we're talking about black men right now, like now June is men's mental health month, and I just decided to focus on black men. I want to talk about black men and give black men a safe space, because I'm as a wife, I'm speaking as a wife. I feel real bad. My heart hurts for men that are married that cannot share their heart with their wives, that cannot find a safe space without it being weaponized against them later. And I know what I'm talking about, because I have too many guy friends that I talk to that share things with me that they should be sharing with their wife, but they
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
because they told her something 5 or 10 years ago. She weaponized it, and they like, I'm done. And women don't understand. I don't care how much he blowing your back out. If he can't trust you to talk to you, and he's talking to somebody else, to me, number one, is very dangerous. And number two, is not really a united perfect union, a perfect and perfect union. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I want to ask
Definitely.
you, just from a man, to speak to depression, or speak to how important it is for women to understand that about men.
So I definitely like what you said about using it lane later on because that's what we all want. We want a safe space to be heard. And again, trauma tells us we don't have one. So it's only two motives you operate out of: either advice or from advice. What do I mean? Um, if he doesn't have, and this is not to advocate for it, or even just say, just not hold men accountable. But if he doesn't have a healthy way to express himself, eventually it will lean to something that's unhealthy. So what do I mean? He wants to talk to you, but you're not listening. So he go to the bar because of the vice. The vice drawed him to the bar. He's gonna drink, right? Once that vice is turned on because he didn't get the advice he needed, guess who starts talking to him? The barmaid. You in here again, right?
Keisha.
Yeah,
Keisha.
Keisha like two shots of bourbon, right? Two shots of bourbon, right? Yeah. Oh, you know now. See, she's welcoming him in. After about the 6 or 7 week, oh, he just go to that bar all the time. I'm so sad. I'm glad when he go at that bar. Okay, he's at that bar, and Keisha know everything now. Number one at the top of the list, no respect. Number two, no appreciation. Because he's going to present all he does. I love people that have the ability, and Darlene, you one of them, to tell both sides of the story. But most people are just going to tell it from their the way they're processing pain from their point of pain. I do
Mm-hmm.
this for her. I do that for her. She gets this. She gets that. And Keisha is sitting there like, you know what? These next drinks on me. Really, Keisha? Yeah, really. By the time he comes back in to see Keisha on that seventh time. Now it's a commitment. If I just found somebody like you, but he went through the vice first, went through that vice because he tried to get advice from you, but you decided you need to work it out. You need to figure it out. But there are healthy alternatives for men and women. You can go to therapy. You can have people that you trust and that hold you accountable. Because I always say when a man has no accountability, no responsibility, and no availability, you lost him. He's gone. Right? If he's a god to himself, that's a problem. If he has nowhere to be at a certain time, what you doing? Oh, same old, just trying to figure out what I'm getting into. Okay, that's a problem. When you don't see him, now he doesn't have time. He has emotionally checked out. And because of those vices, he's into something else. So it can be overconsumption of alcohol. It could be the higher drugs, the more riskier drugs. It could be sexual activity, risky and especially risky sexual activity. I mean, you have to ask yourself why a prominent certain governor of California would have this beautiful wife and then he impregnates his nanny. You have to ask yourself. In with respect to his wife, she said, "Okay, let's go to counseling." In respect to him, he said no because there are too many dark places in me that I don't want to visit, which means he's saying no to his own healing. He has that right. In the marriage is over with. But if you want to connect to people, you have to put yourself in a position. Look at what the other person is getting, because the rescuer is going to come, swing up on into the kingdom and ride in on the horse. He's going to jump through the window. He's going to fight off the evil witch. And then he's going to kiss you and you're going to wake up. Okay? That's when you're going to wake up, when he kisses you. Here's the reality. She was bitter because what the witch did to her. He kissed a poison mouth. They got
Mm.
on the horse. They rode off from all the people that had supported her thus far. She don't even know if they are right. And then they went off into the sunset. And they lived happily ever after. I'm challenging that narrative. She's unhealed. Cinderella left her slipper. Okay. Cinderella stayed at the feet of a bunch of mean, bitter women. Whole time telling her what to do. And that's why she got cinder. Because she's scrubbing the floors and washing plates and doing everything for them. He puts the slipper on her feet and she awakens. And now she's beautiful and, and they ride off happily ever after. No, Cinderella been traumatized. Okay. Her dad wasn't around. Mama abused, stepmother abused the mess out of her and them sisters. Where's Cinderella's? Who gonna counsel her? The prince? See, sometimes we don't care about what all we got when we searching for peace. And lastly, Darlene, we can't expect the people that are closest to us to heal us. We
Yeah.
just can't. The more it's like scratching your back, right? You scratch that spot on your back, and you're like, okay. But if you say, Constance, scratch my back, you be like, you know what? Get that other side. Go this way. Okay, go over. It's something about the application of someone else investing in you that changes your whole composition and your outlook. But we represent ourselves as unhealed vessels with the hope that just getting married is going to heal us. This person is going to be everything to me. The person that I listen to, the person that I walk with. I like the way the guys, the controlling guys said, this is going to be, this is my best friend. She ain't got no best friends. Dude, we this and we that. She going to tell me, bro, no, she ain't. Where you get that from? She going to tell you everything? No, no, no. And she going to tell somebody the other stuff, but no. And it's okay. Let the outlets happen so that the input can begin, and stop trying to control every single part of the partner's or the potential partner's life, because that's healthy. Um,
Mhm.
can you stand seeing that prom picture? Okay, because it's a dude. He's smiling, right?
But that was before you though.
Well,
Everybody had prom pictures, right? You can't keep the prom pictures?
listen, he ain't got no problem with the prom picture. He just got a problem with seeing it all the time, because that's
Oh,
one of the guys. That's one of the guys.
oh,
You know.
gotcha. Okay.
And it's our, and again, it's in our expectation, it's in our own insecurities, because we have them too. We all share the same emotional range. It's just when and where we use them. Darlene,
Okay.
you bringing up some heavy hitter questions. I'm glad I talked to you today.
Okay, my next question. What so I mm, so this question is always we hear it's a trite question, but I want to ask it. It's like, what would you tell your younger self? We hear that a lot, but can we really tell our younger self anything? Because when we were younger, we made those mistakes. We were learning as we were growing. So I think the better question is, what would you tell a group of young black men today? Like,
Okay.
because I know you do a lot of work in the community. The organization you're a part of, the International Men of Excellence, do a lot of mentoring with young black men. So, what do you guys tell them today? And I know the world is different because we're in a digital world, but the common denominator should still be the same in terms of their mental health. Maybe not, saving them some speed bumps that you guys went through that they don't have to go through. What do you guys share with them?
So the mission statement of the International Men of Excellence is, we assist males to becoming men, and we assist men to becoming better men. And we do that through directly through a process called mentoring. And what's interesting, Darlene, is I kind of like the question the way it is. What would I tell my younger self?
Okay.
Um, it's real simple. Johnny, you don't know enough about your father, and you don't know enough about your mother to judge them.
Mm,
My advice to you is that to get yourself a coach or a mentor. That's what I would tell my younger self,
wow.
because that doesn't absolve them for anything they did or didn't do for me, because that's between them and higher authority. But what it does, Darlene, is it keeps me from going through life so angry. I was so angry in my younger self. And and sometimes I'm like, man, never smiling, mean mugging. And then I go to Arizona, people smiling, hey, good morning. What you mean, good morning? What's that? Going outside. Hey y'all. Hey now. Hey
Big mouth.
family. Family. It ain't your family. What you mean, family? See, the mean mug don't work everywhere, Darlene. Um,
Mm,
it only works in that place that you survived in, because you want them to know a couple things. Now you can't do this to me no more. I will
mhm,
hurt you for what you did, and you just want to stay around and mean mug them. Let them know. Yeah, I'm still all that because of you. Well, that's okay, but how does it serve, right? How does it serve? But I would definitely have told myself, get you a coach or a mentor, somebody who going to help, because all you really need is navigation through anything that you go through. But what we tell those males is that, number one, we've been through it. Society is using you as cattle, fodder fish, that you the fish in the fish tank that they just buy to feed other animals. If you're okay with that, that's fine. But if you want to live a better, more presentable life with much, much greater outcomes, that's why we're here. We're here to help you get there. For some people, it's a job. For some people, it is constantly, man, you ain't here again. Sometimes we found out that their literacy rates are down. So we challenge them on their literacy rate. Start reading. Get your reading up. We challenge them on what they say is is what they believe is manhood. Because again, we're telling them those myths. We thought the same thing. That's not what it is. It's not the way it is. We have to go. We do teach sexual responsibility. We
Mhm.
teach accountability if you father a child, and what you can do, and that there are resources in place, and it does not make you any less than a man. However, Darlene, what I've noticed, and this is my unfortunate thing that we wrestle with, and this that we're challenged by, is that this generation, they respect blood. They want to see the scars of Jesus. Now I want to see your scars.
Mm.
If you ain't got no scars like me, then you're really not anything. Well, everybody don't have scars, and everybody don't have that story. Some people actually did it the quote unquote right way in air quotations, and they listened to their mom, they listened to their dad, and they lived in the great suburbs, and they came out outstanding citizens, and they want to help. It's okay to receive help from them too. No, they don't know what you've been through, but can they help you fill out a resume? Can
Mm.
they make sure that you never have to have crime as your cycle? Because we're all in some cycle. Either the cycle serves us or we serve the cycle. That's just the way it is. Darlene,
Mhm.
you are serving the cycle. You know what I mean? You're making sure you present a platform of healing. And then the other thing is I need somewhere to be able to take you through, especially in the prison systems and the addiction circles. When you get out of this, I need somewhere to take you to. This is where our churches are challenged because we are asking people to tithe that don't have anything. They don't have money to tithe. They don't have money. They really don't have money. Can I get a job first? Can I get some food first before you start preaching to me like I'm hungry? How come we're not asking these people what they need first?
Yeah, that part.
What
And
do you need?
and
Listen,
sidebar, tithes is not just money. People can tithe
no,
their
no,
time
yes,
and different things. It has not been preached that way. I'm a church pew baby. It's
yeah,
never preached that way, but not to get too off topic, but tithes isn't just it's not all about money.
no.
So so
It,
yeah.
yeah, we definitely though. We're always trying to make them. We teach manners to them too. The
Mhm.
thing about social manners is, what's your manner you open the car door for, and what's your mannerisms for a female who learned the survivor from mom, and she has not been through anything that the mom has gone through. But every time you just see scratching and kicking and clawing, what do you do with that? With the young male who comes home with his face all scratched up because mom told him don't. It's never right to hit a lady. She just scratched him up, ginsu him.
She that mother, if that I don't have a son, I have a daughter, but if I had a son and my son came home with scratches and stuff, that young lady will be prosecuted.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody want to be equal till it's time to be equal. And these mothers with sons start prosecuting these girls and watch how that go down. Because
Yeah.
think about it,
It's a
men
crime. It's a
the
crime.
crime.
Crime works both
Actually
ways.
it's assault. Because how he did it to her, oh, he'd be locked up, extra charges, trumped up charges, and everything. Start prosecuting these young ladies. Start prosecuting them. They can get rehabilitated, just like we say how the men. Start locking them up. I bet you see that go down. Couldn't be my son. Or I have nephews or my nephews. I will be pushing my sister. You need to have that young lady prosecuted because it's not right.
So, Darlene, since we mentioning women, one uh, what I've learned about single mothers, unfortunately, is that they smother. And what I mean by that is the other parent is not available, so I'm going to be that too. I'm gonna be that too.
But you
You're not
can't.
you're not qualified,
You can't. You can be
right?
super mom. You can be super mom all day long, but you can't be mother and father.
So I'm fortunate to have sons and daughters. My daughters could have easily lived with me as a single parent. But when it comes time to biological things going on within them, and acne is showing up and all kinds of things, I need to hand them over to women that I trust for that part of the process. Now I'm not gonna say I'm their daddy and their mother. And no, I'm not. I'm their dad. Period. End of story. Okay. Here you go. Right on in there, baby. Talk to the women. They're gonna get you together. At the church, we used to call it the motherboard. Ooh, that
Jesus,
motherboard.
ooh,
That
ooh.
motherboard let you get all your shouting and praising in, and then come here, baby. Come in, come in. Let me talk to you for a
You
minute.
talking old school now.
Yeah, yeah. You
Do
know the
they still
mother.
do they have motherboards? Do they still have motherboards?
Some churches do, but the motherboards would operate in the spirit of Titus, and
Mhm.
they would tell the younger ladies, listen, hey, you're not wearing that right. Let me show you how to wear it.
Yeah.
Uh, my one of my siblings, my sisters, just told a story about how she wasn't wearing a bra right, and she talked about how a young lady told her in school, you're not you have any kind of training bras or anything. She was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
And the next day, that young lady presented her with the proper way to take care of herself when it came to her breast development. We need that. The only way you get rid of peer pressure is with peer leadership. I'm
Yeah,
always
peer leader.
challenged. I'm
Yeah.
always challenged by people who want me to come to all these events. Um, Junior high, high school. Okay, where were you when I was poor? Because I'm not gonna pull up in the spinning rims. I'm not gonna show up like I got it like that. If I come, I'm gonna come human. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna joke, and then I'm gonna leave. I don't have to be anybody else except myself. Those
Hmm.
are the spaces and places we are looking for. How can I be me? When true success is me being me in every situation, in every place, at every time, where I don't have to put on airs and change for people. If you're doing that, you're changing for them or they again. Counseling, therapy. Um, don't
Yeah.
let archaic systems or institutions dictate your now. And what I mean by that is there are people who have problems with Pilates, people who have problems with yoga. I can be a Christian and I can practice yoga. I think God would understand I'm trying to reach a center of peace. There are some people that like crystals. There's some people who like to light candles. There are some people who go to therapeutic groups. Why
Hmm.
are we saying, no, let me just pray on you and you're going to be all right? So I watched the person pray on the person who prayed for the person who's disabled. Darlene, they still disabled. I watched them pray on the person who they had gender conflict. Darlene, they still have gender conflict. Okay, and they hate the church now too. Um, I watched them. I watched them try to bring people out of everything imaginable just through the touch. We live, and they want it in the instance when we live in a time of process. People need to be processed. Fish need to be processed. Food need to be processed. Guess what? Johnny need to be processed. Darlene need to be processed. God can do some instantaneous things. You might
Hmm.
want to save that instant stuff for later on. Because the more we age, our bodies need more. Save it
Yeah,
for the later on stuff and ask for God for that instant. Save my instant stuff for later on. And let the crisis develop you the proper way.
I agree. As we I this has been real good. I so
Yeah.
appreciate it. I want to know as we wrap up, what does so we're talking about legacy and liberation. So what does mental freedom and emotional legacy look like for Johnny Dang?
So my children and great grandchildren can be themselves in some of the footsteps or even the grave that I lay in as tools and be better in society. I know that's a mouthful, but it's real simple. I would like for maybe two, three, four, even four generations past me. They're staring at a picture on the wall. No, it's not the dogs playing poker. And no, it's not the picture of the Last Supper. It's a picture of me. This guy right here, he sacrificed so that we can be here living in this prosperous moment. Darlene, everybody say I couldn't have been no slave, but I say that because there were people that were slaves. I don't say that in and of myself. I would be foolish to say that. I I've heard people say, "Man, I was just so jealous and envious of you." What? Take some of this trauma. Take some of this trauma and drama I've been through, and then you think I just got like this? Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I ain't been through
You
nothing,
always see the glory and don't know the story.
man. So I want my children, the great grandchildren and great grandchildren, to have some connectivity to me because we're putting idols on the wall. On the wall. That picture behind you of you and your husband, they
Oh,
need to see that. That is a loving, committed, colorful relationship. That's what the greats need to see. They need to see more of that and less of how Coretta survived after Dr. King was shot up, or how Betty Shabazz made it after Malcolm X was killed. Um,
those are
because we're,
important too, though.
huh?
Those are
Those
important.
are
Yeah.
those are important, but they leave out the fact that the husband is dead. He's dead.
Isn't it implied though? Because everyone knows that he's dead.
Well, my my son, who's funny, my oldest son, he said, "Dad, I was looking for a Coretta and ended up with Loretta." That's what he told me. Said you gotta go through a lot of Lorettas to get Coretta. I said,
Whoa.
that's hilarious. But yeah, I just want them. I want them to know I contributed in some way, some way.
Wow.
And we have to get back to those families that like for instance, Darlene, your daughter. I have not been around your daughter in double-digit years almost, right? But I can listen to her and I can say, just like her mama, just like her daddy, right? If I hear something foreign, okay, that comes from something outside of the context that I knew she was raised in.
Mhm.
And in all respect, I would say Amber Lee. See, I
Mhm.
got to call her Amber Lee so that she know.
Mhm.
He know me.
He
Not,
know me, know
yeah,
me.
yeah. And she gonna say, okay, you're right. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's
Mhm.
what's supposed to happen.
Mhm.
That's what I like in context for my legacy, my posterity, for them to be able to say, "Oh no, you ain't get that from Johnny Dent. Not Johnny, not the Johnny Dent I know. Nah, we need to know when we out of context. We just do, and to bring us back in. But no dogs playing poker, no Scarface. Nah, 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 nah. They
Oh wow.
gone.
I can
They gone.
respect that. I
They
respect it.
gone. I don't want the Last Supper while I'm eating. Okay, while I'm eating my food, the Last Supper is staying over the dinner table. Well, they ain't eating no more. I know that for a fact.
True, true, true. Wait,
Yeah,
one last question. One last
yeah,
question.
yeah.
Wait, for all the black men that's out there, no matter their age, young or old, what by especially again by you being in the mental health industry, what advice would you give them in terms of living today in these days and times?
You get one life. Make it count. Make it count. Be as advertised. Um, Define your own manhood and your own masculinity. Darlene, we went into that question. Listen, when I was growing up, evolution, it was a crime to talk about evolution. Creationism was the number one thing. Now, has been pushed out of the schools and evolution is in the schools. Um, Inside the males, and this is crazy, especially my Superman, I'm tough man. We have milk ducts. For what? Is it possible that later on, somewhere, shocker in this life, wait, beyond me, because it ain't gonna make me inconstant. I can tell you that now. But You might see a male breastfeeding.
Oh,
Shocker. Shocker. Right? Shocker. I won't be there. And it ain't gonna be a good look for me. It's gonna be foreign to me. But we have milk ducts. You have to ask yourself, why does God present men with milk ducts and men don't nurse babies? I don't know what God is doing. I don't know what ecology is doing. I don't know what biology is doing. I can only define it as it's relatable to me for the time that I exist in. Um,
mm,
and or if you want to, you can be a male and you can be a man, but you can
mm.
be both. You can be both, and you can be phenomenal in being that. Always be as honest as you can with the people that you project as your partner. Honesty does go a long way. That's what I would say to them.
And we appreciate that. Yeah, we are wrapping up. This was great. Drop down in the comments, guys, if you have any questions. We truly appreciate author Johnny Dent Jr. being with us today. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at TSW Network. Again, I'm your host, DC Constant. And Wise, remember, you define your own success. Until next time, be blessed. Thank you, Mr. Dent. Thank you so much.